Dear students, we are discussing the methods of studying behavior. So, in Lashley in 1938, using ablation technique proved very important in understanding the neural mechanism of learning. He proposed that the impairment in learning was directly proportional to the amount of cortex removed. According to him, the majority of learned tasks are equally distributed and stored by cortex, the law of equipotentiality. So, the cortex region of the brain, according to him, is responsible for the learning behavior in an organism. And by using this ablation technique, he removed the parts of cortex and suggested that the cortex stores the tasks which are whatever are performed by the individual, which are distributed equally on this cortex. Discovery of different nuclei of hypothalamus and their role in controlling vital activities like feeding, drinking, mating, aggression, parental behavior, etc., were made using neuroanatomical techniques. Lesions in hypothalamus can lead to adipsia, hyperdipsia, aphasia, and hyperphagia. When it is dipsia, it is associated with drinking, and phagia is associated with eating, feeding. In most of the animals, lesions in ventromedial hypothalamus increases their hunger to such an extent that they eat themselves to death. So this was seen when the ventromedial hypothalamus, when lesion was made in this particular region. So that is that this region controls the hunger. On the other hand, a lesion on the lateral hypothalamus can cause the rat to starve to death. So ventromedial part controls the that it wants hyperphagia. It wants to eat and eat and eat, while the lateral hypothalamus controls that the rat doesn't want to eat, so it starves to death. So the two different regions controlling hunger, one to just go on feeding and the other not to feed. Bilateral lesions or ablation in amygdala, part of limbic system, enhanced the sexual behavior of male cat to such an extent that it tried to mount and copulate with mates like dogs and monkeys. So not even conspecifics, it just went on to mount the other organisms like the dogs and monkeys. This hypersexuality was reduced by forming a lesion in the anterior and ventromedial nuclei of the hypothalamus, indicating that there are specific areas in the brain which start and stop the sexual behavior. So the two ablations, one in the bilateral ablation or ablation lesion or ablation in the amygdala, and the other was in the anterior and ventromedial nuclei of the hypothalamus. So both control the sexual behavior. The first, it becomes hyper excited and it tries to uh, copulate with dogs and monkeys, whereas in the other case the sexual behavior is restricted, it stops. Experiments conducted using brain lesions helped identifying gratification centers of basic needs. This technique has also contributed in locating the motor and sensory cortex. Removal of tissue from frontal lobes of brain caused paralysis or inactivity in muscles, and removal of parts from parietal lobe proved to affect sensory activities. So the different experiments were conducted using brain lesions, and various areas were identified that this contributes to this particular activity or this particular behavior. This portion of the brain is related to this particular activity and behavior, so on and so forth. So the motor and sensory cortex and the frontal lobes of brain, that they affected the various activities, and especially if we talk about the frontal lobes of brain, they caused paralysis or inactivity in muscles. This technique was considered too crude and was used less by next generation of scientists. So these were the earlier workers who worked by the crude method of removing an ablation or causing lesions. The new methods evolved called neurophysiological and chemical methods. But in modern times, ablation method has caught up again due to the discovery and use of laser, which is capable of making very precise and minutest ablations. Electrical stimulation or neurophysiological technique. Now, as mentioned earlier, ablation or lesion methods were dropped by scientists due to their crudeness. By removing piece of brain, a huge disturbance was created to nearby area. Brain was enormously complicated network. It has enormously complicated network of axons and dendrites crisscrossing all over. So the newer methods were based on the discoveries that messages in brain are passed on using electrical current and chemicals called neurotransmitters. The discovery of bioelectricity came by chance. The Italian scientist Galvani hung some frog legs on his balcony railing one day and noticed that the legs twitched when they touched the metal fence. This finding laid the foundation for electrophysiology. The discovery that the messages in nervous system travel in the form of electric current led to a less destructive and more precise neurophysiological method to study behavior. So neurophysiology was less destructive and more precise because it affected only at the minutest area. While if ablation is caused, even if you try to pinpoint that particular spot or point, even then the nearby areas are will be, and there are more number of chances that they also are damaged. At the end of the 19th century, Ferrier was able to roughly localize in the cerebral cortex the sensory centers for vision, auditory, gustatory, and olfactory sensations. It became technically possible to record the electrical potential of active nerves with the aid of implanted electrodes and to amplify this activity by a highly sensitive instrument where it could be detected and measured. This technique has now become a routine tool of neurophysiologists and neuroethologists. The procedure involves implanting electrodes in the brain and is used in two ways. Number one, recording of electrical activities from brain while animal is behaving, and the second, stimulating the brain region and eliciting behavior. So now what is done during this neurophysiological studies, that electrical activities from brain are recorded while animal is behaving. So the animal is behaving like this, and then the electrodes are fitted into the brain and the activities are recorded. The second is that brain is stimulated by this electrophysiological method, and then that particular point where that stimulation is given and then the behavior is seen. So then it can be actually analyzed that yes, this behavior is because of this particular region of the brain which is being stimulated by the neurophysiological activity. Frisch and Hitzing electrically stimulated the brains of dogs and observed that stimulation of different regions of the cerebral cortex produced contractions in different muscle groups of the body. Brain maps were charted out, and in the cerebral cortex, the sensory centers for vision, auditory, gustatory, and olfactory sensations were localized. So, brain maps were made or prepared, or what we can say charted out. The cerebral cortex, that this is the reason for vision, this is the reason for auditory, this is the for gustatory, and these are for the olfactory sensations. So these are the areas, these were marked in the cerebral cortex region, and these were termed as the brain maps. The first successful recording of the brain waves from a stereotaxic machine from the skull of man was accomplished by Berger in 1929, who named this technique as EEC, that is electroencephalogram. Thank you. So these are the electrophysiological methods of studying behavior. Now we have a very clear cut picture. Initially these were the methods, till date these are the measures which are still going on, but yes, we have now finalized that these are the different regions of the brain which are responsible for eliciting specific behavioral responses. Thank you.